All right, 8 o'clock, good Monday evening, Weather Impact Live. I'm 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins. We're going to talk a little bit of tropics tonight. We've got Invest 98L. We've got this system that's probably going to end up being Melissa here pretty soon. But where is it going? And it's been a tough forecast so far. We may end up getting a track maybe late tonight, probably tomorrow. But it is something that we're going to have to be watching, I think, for probably at least a week. Yeah, and we've already been watching this thing come across the Atlantic for almost a week. So let's start with where it is right now, 98L. So we got an invest over the weekend, which means we're focusing models on it, okay? And organize all the data around that invest number. The wind speed's estimated to be around 40 miles per hour, and it's moving to the west at 18. Now, number one, 40 miles per hour is tropical storm strength. So if it can get organized enough where it has a low-level center, it's going to end up becoming Tropical Storm Melissa just right off the bat, okay? Now, the movement is west at 18, and that's pretty quick. However, it's been moving 20 to 25 miles per hour for the last week, all right, which is really quick. So 18 means it's slowing down, and when it slows down, it tends to start to organize a little bit more. We were waiting for this to slow down just so that it would organize, and I got to show you, I mean, look, pressure's 1,008 millibars. Take a look at where we're thinking the development is. The Hurricane Center just updated this. They're now at 90% chance for the next 48 hours. So like I said, maybe we get it tonight. I don't know, but we could certainly, I think we get it sometime during the day tomorrow if it's not tonight, okay? Look at the convection around the center that's firing off right now. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing off here so you can see. Look at that, right there at the end of that line. That is a ton of convection right over where we think the center is, all right? And if that continues, this thing's off to the races. And there's a ton of warm water, I should say, underneath there to make fuel for the fire for this thing, okay? So it is going to have a chance to go. Now, the forecast models. Generally, we're looking at the forecast models showing a curve to the north and the east, but when? We don't know. Most modeling now does something between here and something between here. And they're all starting to come in something like this, all right? However, there are models, including the European, that kind of drifted over here, maybe over in here to the west, then stall it a little bit, hang it out, and then eventually take it out across parts of central Cuba, okay? I'll show you that coming up a little bit, but the majority are what you see right there, okay? Which is good news for us here in Florida, in fact, the United States. So let's take a look at the comparison between the European model and the GFS. Now, you can see at least initially, they're pretty close to together, and they've been like this, okay? But that's Thursday morning. Now let's go out to Sunday, all right? The end of this weekend, and there you go, complete different. You've got the GFS continuing to say this thing turns early, goes across Dominican Republic, and starts to head out to sea, all right? Euro says no, it's slower. I mean, look, this is almost a week. This is 6 days from now. And it's right here now, and it's there in 6 days. All right, that's a ton of rain. Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, basically Dominican Republic, and Haiti. I think especially Jamaica. If anything comes this far to the west, Jamaica is going to have a big-time flooding issue. All right, and eastern Cuba as well. Now, this is Sunday, again, the end of next weekend, and then watch as we go into the middle of next week. This is about a week and 2 days from now, 9 days away. The European finally has it coming across eastern Cuba and heading out to sea. All right, I don't see anything at this time that takes it towards us. All right, that is really good news, okay? Now, one of the main reasons for that is, well, it's obviously the weather setup, but ton of wind shear. Look at the amount of wind shear across the Gulf and across Florida by this Thursday. All right, the European thinks the center's down here. Look at the wind shear here. In fact, let me back this up, and there's not a lot of wind shear over the islands, but there's a little bit. And there's a little bit on the system right now out of the west. But that looks like it almost wants to pick up a little bit, increase. Now look at the islands. See all the wind shear over there? Now, it's not a lot, but it is some, and it's already seeing most of the convection on the right side versus the center, which is over here. And just tonight, the wind shear has lightened up enough so that you're getting that pulse right there over the center, okay? But even by the time we get towards Thursday, this wind shear picks up a little bit, center somewhere in here, we are still protected by that. Okay, that is a good amount of wind shear. This is typical amount of wind shear for this time of the year, depending on the setup. It's part of the reason why we don't see as many storms, especially as we get towards November. Okay, you're getting these troughs to come down. These fronts push all the way through. They bring wind shear with them. And that's what this is showing all the way through Sunday. I mean, look at this. Dude, that is a lot of wind coming across the Gulf, all right, and into Florida. Now, this is up in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, but it's in a range that would really shear apart any tropical system trying to come in there. All right, so if something were to try and come up, we'd maybe get some rain, but everything would be blown off to the east, and it would not strengthen, it would weaken as far as overall winds go. All right, so that's this Sunday, and then notice as it starts to pull away, remember this is a euro, you see it pulling away right here. That is next Thursday. So that's a week and 10 days. Oh, not a week, excuse me, week and 3 days. And look what happens here. Another big trough. This says cool, dry air coming in. So that is fall weather for us, drier, cool weather, and it looks like protecting us from the tropics. Very, very good sign as far as that's concerned. Now, remember I talked about some of the moisture. Look at Jamaica. I mean, this is just the European model, and obviously it's going to have more rain to the west, but look at eastern parts there towards Kingston. That's somewhere 8 to 10, but I've seen numbers that show it 15 plus, and that's easy to do with these types of systems that may sit there, okay? And that also goes for the southern coast of Haiti and Dominican Republic. All right, now if you go to the DR, a lot of the places you go are here on that northeast side, but still they're going to get a ton of rain, all right? And potentially a system moving right across them. So that's certainly something. Even if it goes across eastern Cuba, somewhere over in here, that still has all the weather is on the right side of this, okay, because of that little bit of wind shear. And that's going to cause quite a bit of heavy rain in those islands regardless. So that is through the 27th, so that's the next week. But basically, it's got a lot of warm water to work with. If it can fight off the wind shear, it could be a strong system. And you can see all this dark purple here. This is very warm surface water. Even beneath that, it's very warm. So if you get a system sitting there for a while, it's going to blow that warm water off the top and water from underneath upwells, and that ends up cooling off the water just a little bit, okay? That's going to happen if it develops, but there's a lot of warm water even underneath this. This is untapped. We haven't had a system come across the Caribbean this year yet, so that's very warm water. In fact, it's near record warm water out there. There are a list of the names. Obviously, Melissa is next on the list. Nestor is after that. Olga, Pablo, Rebecca, Sebastian, Tanya, Van, and Wendy are we'll finish out the list there, and I don't think we'll get too far into these names after Melissa here. All right, now October 20th, getting close to the end of October, obviously. You can see how things start to come downhill from here. We had a little bit of spike, and then it starts coming down. Only takes one storm, and we can still get the storms. Obviously, when you get into November, you really drop off the numbers, and we actually start looking more towards the east, out east of the Bahamas for development. In fact, Dominican Republic and Northeast is where we look. So the season is winding down, but again, it's not quite done. And we still have 80-degree water right out in front of us, okay, out in the Gulf. And so anything coming at us would have enough energy to sustain itself to come at us. So we have to watch October very, very closely. But so far, like I showed you, the trends are really good for that. Now, we are, let's say, 5 to 7 days away, okay, from at least, we're probably getting a track here tomorrow. So we're kind of almost into this area here where I say you got like 3 to 5 days. Because we're kind of on the cusp of this. But starting the preps, that's not for us. All right, that is for the folks in the islands. If you have family, friends, Dominican Republic, Haiti, even Puerto Rico should really keep a close eye on this just for rainfall alone, and Jamaica. They need to start looking at this, all right? Give them a heads up. We should get a cone, as I mentioned, probably tomorrow, and that really gets people's attention. But this should be on their radar right now. They need to plan because they got at least some heavy rainfall. May not be crossing any of the island chain until we get towards about, well, the GFS it would be this weekend, but probably next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all right? Just still so much out there for us to talk about. All right, that's it for a tropical update. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we're going to show you some video and we'll talk our local forecast.
Before hurricane season hits, it's time to prep your home. Familiarize yourself with where your water shutoff valve is located. If backflow prevention devices are installed, get them tested annually.
Those are some great tips, and Cool Today is here to help you weather the storm. For over 60 years, we've been here to help Floridians with their cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. We can help you prepare, protect, and repair your home. Call 888-40-TODAY.
I was driving when a Ford pickup truck barreled into me from behind, sending me to the hospital.
I knew my husband was going to need an excellent attorney, so I called Dan Newland.
I'm so glad my wife called Dan. Dan really fought for me. He won my case and got me $650,000.
If you've been involved in a car accident, allow me to fight for you. Call me now, 813-888-8000.
Thanks, Dan, for winning my husband's case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. You need quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
All right, welcome back. That is a look at the national weather. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the hurricane season we had last year. So we've had 3 storms that hit us last year, right? It's been over a year now. But Pinellas County is trying to roll out millions of dollars to help the recovery relief programs. So our neighbors are still struggling to rebuild. Now, 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Eric Glasser explains how that will work.
Well, starting today, Pinellas County residents impacted by Hurricanes Helene, Milton, or even Idalia can start applying for financial help through the county's People First Hurricane Recovery Programs, part of an $813 million federal community block grant, the largest ever awarded in Florida.
We had foundation displacement, and we've been in the house 30 years, so we don't want to move.
For 3 decades, Andy Rugani and his wife have called this Pinellas County house home, but after last year's hurricanes, it's been far from stable. Now, like hundreds, perhaps thousands of other residents, Rugani is applying for help through the Pinellas County People's First Hurricane Recovery Program, which opened for applications today.
We're hoping to get money in people's hands by Christmas. That's the goal.
The county is distributing more than $813 million in federal recovery funds, money that will help homeowners repair or rebuild, reimburse those who've already paid for repairs, and support landlords offering affordable housing.
Bring your documents, ask the questions, and we're going to make it as painless and seamless as possible.
County leaders say at least 70% of the funding will go toward residents with low to moderate incomes, but anyone whose home was damaged is encouraged to apply.
Some people still don't have a place to live. They're living in a hotel, they're living with family, and we'd really like to put the community back together and make them whole.
The county will also make sure that people aren't double dipping, getting money for relief already provided through insurance, FEMA, or other programs. Rugani says he's gotten some help, but not nearly enough.
I'm hoping that we will be made whole, but it's, any way you look at it, it's so hard to go through something like that.
With up to 6 years to disperse the funds, Pinellas County officials say this is just the beginning, with more programs for businesses, nonprofits, and strengthening infrastructure expected next year. In Clearwater, Eric Glasser, 10 Tampa Bay News.
Hopefully they can get that done. Now, look, more than 100 flights delayed today at Tampa International Airport, in part because of a cold front moving through the Northeast. The conditions prevented planes from taking off and landing up north, not here. We were fine. TPA felt the ripple effects, though. Spokesperson says they had about 20% of flights delayed. There was speculation that the Amazon Web Service, the AWS outage, and the government shutdown played a role, but TPA says that is not the case. And if you look at my weather computer here, you can see what was doing it. It was a low pressure system moving across the Northeast. And now New York is cleared out now, but you can see things are moving off towards the north and the east and will continue to do that. So conditions will improve. If you're trying to get a flight there or hear back from anybody, things are looking a lot better. So even Boston, I think, with a couple more showers left over, shouldn't be anything too bad, but there is some wind up there. So you're going to see a little bit of bumpiness. All right, let's talk a little bit about our local forecast. So the overnight hours, I'll tell you what, it was warm, by the way. The overnight hours are finally now getting into the 70s. We were in the mid to even some upper 80s at 7 o'clock. I literally just said 6-7. But now we're into the 70s. We'll slowly come down to the 70s. I think it's kind of a mild start tomorrow. Most areas upper 60s will be close to 70 in the Tampa area. You can see 70 is what I'm forecasting. 61 though, our cool spot. And guess where? Crystal River, right? Brooksville 62. Hold on. You guys are going to be looking at low to mid 50s by Friday morning. Yeah, that is going to be nice. In fact, quite a bit of 50s for everybody by Friday morning. Now tomorrow we're going to go up into the mid to upper 80s yet again. It's going to be a very warm one. Humidity's rebounded just a little bit. We'll probably end up seeing that again tomorrow. Look at these high temperatures, 88 in Tampa, but close to 90 for Bartow, Wauchula, Arcadia, and Northport. Yeah, 85, 86 is the 85 is the average for Tampa. Some of the warm spots, the average is right about 86 degrees for this time of the year. Northeast winds for boating, not looking bad. 5 to 10 knots. They'll go a little more to the north-northwest with a sea breeze in the afternoon, but that is it. So really nice boating next couple of days. Water temperature at Pier 60 came in at 79. That's a key number because anything below 80 doesn't provide a lot of energy for hurricanes, and hurricanes tend to fall apart if they get over 79, 78 degree water. They'll weaken, okay? So that is key. The cooler, drier air that we get in here by, well, Thursday night starts to come in, and into Friday and Saturday, that will knock those water temperatures down into the mid 70s, mid to upper 70s. So that's really going to help. But remember, that's near shore water. That's not, it's actually a little bit warmer offshore, especially out towards the loop current and into the southern Gulf out there. All right, let's talk a little bit about that dry air. So had a front come through today, last night and today. It didn't really do a whole lot, okay? You can see it kind of moving off to the south and the east. But look at Wednesday night. That is a cold front coming through. There's really no weather associated with it. A few clouds, if that, and no rain, I don't think. But Wednesday night into Thursday, drier air moves in, and that right there is Friday afternoon, and it is going to be gorgeous. Northeast winds, kind of light at that point, but probably about 10 miles per hour. Low humidity, the lowest we've seen as far as dew points go so far this season. And the cool temperatures, like I said, will be in the 50s most locations by Friday morning. That's Friday afternoon. It's going to be beautiful. Now, Saturday's okay. Sunday, we start to bring it back. This is 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. We're bringing the humidity back. This green means we'll see a few clouds around the area as well. Look at the winds more now out of the east. And then here comes another front. But watch as that pushes that out of the way. It's going to fall apart, and then the second one has to come through and push this out of the way by next Wednesday, so a week and a day. This is key because it's holding this at bay for us, right? This protects us. Okay, really good news. So we need to get this, because I'm going to back this up one time. I want you to see this front that's kind of falling apart back here. Watch another one come. And then finally pushes through. So we actually have one that doesn't make it through. We want the pattern to get these through here. We need that so that they can come through and push this tropical system out to sea. Right now, most of the modeling suggests that it is somewhere in this area and that it basically heads off something like this, okay? I'd say anywhere in that area, right in there, is what it looks like now. So we'll keep an eye on it, but that is the trend. Now, look at the humidity. This is fantastic. 56 degree dew point by Thursday, 54 on Friday. That is going to feel amazing. But I mean, some of you will hit me up on Facebook and say it's chilly. I know. It will be. But, you know, this is the time of year. This is amazing. The sun is still strong. We will still warm up. We'll be in the mid-80s for highs, but this means lows in the 50s, even some low 50s up north, and right around 60, 62 or so at the beach for the warm spots that are sitting by the water. Rain chances? Nope. And we got some yesterday. At least some of us did. Not everybody, but we really need it. Some of us got it yesterday. I don't really have anything in the forecast until Sunday of this upcoming weekend. I'll show you that, and we'll talk 7-day forecast coming up.
I was involved in a very bad car accident. Called attorney Dan Newland, and it was like 1, 2, 3. Dan really got it done for me. At the end of my case, he got me $525,000.
As one of the largest personal injury law firms in the United States, my team and I remain committed more than ever to win big on your case. Involved in a car accident? Let's get started. Call me at 813-888-8000.
Thank you, Dan, for winning my case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. Unique quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
With a fresh new look and over 60 years of keeping Floridians comfortable, Cool Today is the name to trust for fast same-day service. Cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Our friendly expert technicians take the hassle out of home repair today. And Cool Today is here for you tomorrow, too. That's why we're introducing a parts and labor warranty on select AC systems for a lifetime. For cooling, plumbing, or electrical service, get the best from today and for years to come. Cool Today.
All right, let's talk extended forecasts for what it's worth, right? You know, we're looking at almost 30 days. I'm going to show you basically the 10-day outlook for temperatures, and you can see it's a little bit above average, and that's where we've been running. 85 is average for this time of the year, and we've been in the upper 80s, all right? So we're running above average. Looks like we kind of stay that way. Now, right around Halloween, I almost said Thanksgiving, I always do that. We're going to be looking at a cool down coming, all right? Could it get here in time for Halloween? I think it does. It looks like it will. So this is not the 31st, of course, so keep that in mind. Now let's look at the next 30 days. In fact, let me back up here. I think this is going to be a lot cooler across the central and eastern United States. A lot cooler. So we're going to get some of the coldest air we've seen so far this season, probably the first week of November. And that includes the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast, and really even the mid-Atlantic, and I think gets down towards about the Carolinas, and we'll get a little taste of it, but we're talking sub-freezing temperatures all the way down in the Carolinas, probably during the first week of November. All right, so that's where we're looking at for temperature-wise. This is the outlook through the end of October for rain, and you can see some spots up there across Mississippi. What may happen is we actually get a little bit. You said the front's trying to come through here, right? Well, the GFS says that it stalls next week, and they end up getting a whole lot of rain east of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia. Those areas are actually in a pretty good drought, so this would not be bad for them. For us, we're kind of close to average, maybe a little bit above, which we could use because we're actually getting into a drought. We're in abnormally dry in most areas, but that's getting a little bit worse. So that would be good news as well. Again, you know, take this for what it's worth. But then look at this. This is basically taking us into the middle of November, and we would be drier than average as far as that goes. And just look, noting that the cooler air is coming in, the drier air, and that really cold air up north, that's dry air. And so that does make it a little bit harder to get rainfall around here. So something that we'll be keeping an eye on. This is the GFS, I think, model. And what I want to show you, this is the overall moisture in the atmosphere. So this is the really nice weather that gets in here Thursday and Friday, okay? Saturday's okay. Sunday, we see the humidity, some clouds back, some showers even into Monday. And then you see it drop a little bit by Tuesday, and then again it drops. Here comes a front on Wednesday, but it's not a big push, all right? It's nothing like this, all right? And so this is the GFS saying, well, the coolest dry air, the second shot of it is not getting in here. We'll get a little bit, but we're not going to get a big push. And that's something we'll have to watch, because this time frame right here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, is when the models are saying that tropical system could be ejecting out to the north and the east. And that's okay. And if you see it coming down right here, usually, even if it gets close, I mean, if it gets close to the Bahamas, that's enough to pull down cool, dry air into the Florida peninsula. So not all bad news as far as that's concerned. All right, let's talk about the 7-day forecast. I don't want to say boring, but you don't see that cool down a lot here on Friday, because we got 65 in the morning. I might lower that to 64. That's for Tampa, though. So many areas away from the water are going to be in the 50s. And so we do this forecast for Tampa itself. 86 for a high temperature. That still seems, well, it is above average. 85 is average for this time of the year. And so we'll end up keeping temperatures about where they should be. And then the rain chance might get bumped up to 20 to 30% on Sunday and Monday. Right now we just kept it at 20%. But it's not going to be a lot either way as it comes through. That rain we had last night was actually pretty decent if you lived Pinellas and northern Hillsborough and points to the north. South of there just really fell apart, and we did not have a whole lot of rain. So definitely getting dry. It's that time of the year, right? Rainy season's over. We're getting that dry air coming in from time to time, and so we need to hope that those cold fronts can bring us some showers. Small chance for Sunday and Monday. Better chance will be once again Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus County. Okay, guys, thanks for watching us. We'll see you tonight at 10 Tampa Bay at 11.